Splitting expenses, joint accounts, 50-50, prenups. These questions have probably crossed your mind when thinking about managing money as a couple. So today in this video, I want to share with you how we, my husband T and I, manage money as a couple and some concrete things that we're doing that helped us grow our money together in Canada and most importantly, maintain a happy and stress-free relationship. And I'll cover everything from what we do with our income, how we budget, spend, and invest. Let me preface this by saying that we are married, so if we weren't married, we'd probably handle things slightly different. So let's start by talking about earning money. Both of us are working and earning money, we just do it differently. My husband T works for a film company as a senior accountant who gets a fixed salary bi-weekly with a bonus at the end of the year, while I am a self-employed content creator, so my income fluctuates depending on ad revenue and other sources of income. By the way, let me know in the comments below if you want a video on this. Both of us work so we can contribute to our finances and hopefully get to our goal of achieving financial freedom sooner. And we don't have kids yet, so it's easy for both of us to work full time. Technically, we're what's called DINK. There were times though when only one of us was working, like when my husband studied for his post-grad certificate in his process of changing careers. At that time, he focused on his studies while I worked. But we also took turns. Shortly after, I too wanted to escape the rat race and do something different. So I also went back to school while working only part-time. And this kind of flexibility helped us to pursue our career goals while still staying afloat and supporting each other. I also talk about this and more in this book I wrote, Multiple Careers, Quit the Rat Race, Pursue Fulfilling Work. I put the link down there in case you're interested. Fast forward again to now, you might wonder how we manage those two incomes. I think using joint accounts is a brilliant way to manage money as a couple. We just never did it because we found a different way to make it work. So each of us has our own bank account, a regular checking and savings account into which we deposit each of our incomes. We each also have our own investment accounts, and I will talk more about that later. So then you might be wondering, if we have separate bank accounts, does that mean we also have separate finances and split our bills? Not at all. When you're not married yet, I think it makes totally sense to have a system to split the bills. When we were still dating, we would simply take turns when eating out. He would spend a bit more on special occasions, and we'd split things like vacations 50-50. But we were never precise about it or kept tabs. We just knew that we spent more or less the same on things. But after we got married, that changed. We absolutely don't do it anymore. It wasn't an immediate change, but more a gradual transition towards merging our finances. So a year or so before getting married, we started merging our finances, perhaps unconsciously at this stage. We were planning a wedding and also thought about buying and renovating a house. This was in Jakarta, by the way. So naturally, we had to start talking about money quite a lot, what we wanted to spend on the wedding and how much the renovations would cost. We also talked about our money and our expenses. It was never my expenses or your expenses. So I don't really remember a point where we each clearly stated, let's merge our money, but I think that we just happened to be on the same page about that since the start. And that's how it continued until now. We completely merged our finances, meaning our assets, our money, property, and even income and expenses. So here's an example. Let's say that there's $8,000 of cash in his account and $2,000 of cash in my account. To us, it simply means that we have $10,000 in cash. Vice versa, if I happen to have $7,000 of cash in my account and he has $3,000 in his, it also just means that we have $10,000 between the two of us. And the same thing goes for investments. We might have different amounts in our investment accounts, but to us, what matters is the total amount of investments we have, which goes towards our financial future. We didn't do a prenup and never even considered it. We never really saw the need to because, for one, we wanted to make it all the way to the end. I know everyone says that, and I know you might say that divorces are so common nowadays and why not prepare just in case. But the other reason was also that the two of us come from very similar financial backgrounds. Our families are both middle class and neither of us had huge assets or a business empire when we got married. We both were kind of beginning from zero and we wanted to build our wealth together as a team. Anything we earned, no matter who made it, was ours, and no matter whose personal expense it was our common expense. But how does it work on a technical level, you might ask, as in bills, credit cards, and so on? That was also very easy. We have a budget, something I'll talk in more detail about after this, and we largely stick to the budget. That makes it extremely easy because each of us knows more or less what we're going to spend money on. Mortgage, groceries, no one's suddenly gonna come home with a Louis Vuitton bag, so there are no surprises. So every time there's something to be paid, it just comes out of one of our accounts or goes onto one of our credit cards. How do we decide this? Well, for the mortgage, it's always due end of the month. And because my husband's salary always comes in on a fixed date, it's easier to manage that expense from his account. All groceries usually go on my credit card because I have the 4% cashback credit card from Scotiabank. Amazon purchases also go on my Brim card because there's 2% cashback on that, while airline tickets go on his TD card because of Aeroplan. For our accounts, we have something like a balanced tank system. We want both of our accounts to have the minimum amount needed so that we don't pay a monthly service charge. That's $4,000 for his account and $3,000 for my account. If we go below that, we'll pay a service charge of $15 to $20, and that can add up. So when paying for different expenses, we make sure not to go below that. If, let's say, he has $5,000 in his account and we have a $2,000 expense, I will just transfer $1,000 to him so he stays above balance. The same goes for me. If I have to pay my credit card bill of $2,000, let's say, and I only have $3,500, he'll transfer me the $1,500. We do something similar for our credit cards, sort of a leveling system. Let's say we have 5 credit cards between the two of us. We make sure that neither of those cards has a too high of a balance, ideally not more than 20%. That's because we want both of our credit cards to stay great. And if in the future we take up another mortgage, both of our credit scores matter after all. And we don't have any complicated system to do this, it's basically just good communication. So for example, he might go, the mortgage is due and I need another $800. And I might go, okay, transferring $1,000 to you. Or I go, I'm booking our hotel rooms for the Bali trip, but my card's usage is near 25%. Then he'll say, let's use the TD card instead. Now, the only way we can do this is because we have full, 100% transparent finances. We each know what accounts the other has and how much money is in it, approximately. There are no secrets or secret stashes. In fact, we regularly sit down to talk about money to know where we're at. And we do planning together on different levels, starting from long-term goals, investments, and especially budgeting. This is super important and has kept us from having financial fight. You know how couples fight because they don't agree on how much money should be spent on a new TV, for example? Every year we make a budget together, mostly based on last year's budget with some amendments. We'll go through line by line to see if we want to increase that item, keep it the same, or reduce it. For example, are we still fine with spending $400 per month on eating out and coffee? And the result might be that we want to increase that by $25. How about our clothing budget? Is $900 per year per person still sufficient? Who needs to buy a new winter jacket or boots? How about giving money to our parents or buying birthday gifts, which each of us do? We don't give each of our parents the exact same amount. It's not about everything being the same, but we're open and honest about what we would ideally want, and then the other gives their input on whether they're okay or if they want to increase or reduce that. And I must admit, it's not always a comfortable discussion, but it's better to face that discomfort and be open rather than letting problems rot down the line. So for each year, we budget not only the recurring expenses, but also one-off expenses. For example, what furniture do we want to buy this year? Are we buying a new TV or are we getting a new couch? How much are we going to spend on vacations, etc.? And it's actually a lot of fun because once the budget is settled, it only takes a day. We can spend the budget guilt and worry free. We also don't need to argue each time when we try and decide whether to spend money on something. By the way, I'm working on improving the budget template I use to keep track of our spending, and there are just a few more things that I need to add and tweak. But once it's finished, I'm planning to make a video on budgeting and I will definitely let you know. And for investments, the same thing applies. We have our separate investment accounts each, so we kind of have our own space to tinker with our investments. But we have an overarching plan. We budget in advance how much money we want to save and invest this year. By the way, I made a video on how we saved 40% of our income and how we plan to increase that to 70%. We treat investing similar to our expenses. We dollar cost average into our favorite investments, each from the money in our own accounts. But we also do a type of balanced tank system here where we try to keep the total amount of investments a about the same for each of us. So every time any of us has a surplus of money, for example, we have $1,000 above our minimum balance in one of our bank accounts, we just split it and send half to the other one so they can invest too. In the first years of living in Canada, we each opened our investment accounts with Wealthsimple, and I also opened an account with NDAX to buy Bitcoin. I've linked both in the descriptions down below. You can also find a referral code down below where you can earn a bonus of $25 with Wealthsimple and $10 with NDAX. Note that if you sign up for any of these two platforms, I will earn a small commission. So it kind of feels like we still have our own investments and we have some freedom in how we manage the details. But we still know that we're investing under the same umbrella, as though we're one company. And the only way we can do this way is because we have the same financial goals. Apart from discussing our budget, each year we also have a meeting to talk about what we want for the future. The great thing is that we're on the same page here. We both want to achieve financial freedom, which is a state where we have enough assets so that work becomes optional, ideally before the typical retirement time of 65. If we can achieve this before the age of 50, that would be great. But if not, even 55 would be awesome. And this priority reflects in the way that we spend, invest, and treat money. We also have similar financial habits. We're both quite frugal.
Sauerkraut's 50 cents extra.
Or rather thoughtful about spending money. We don't spend it haphazardly, even if it's just $10. At the same time, we appreciate quality of life, so we are willing to spend a bit more on things that matter. For example, grass-fed beef, as long as it's within our budget. And we both agreed to postpone luxuries to later when we can better afford it. And we both are big believers in Bitcoin, so we are increasingly investing more and more into Bitcoin. I know that more and more people invest in Bitcoin now, while some really hate it. And I can't imagine how challenging it would be as a couple if one wanted to invest in it and the other says absolutely not. If you want to know what I think about Bitcoin, you can watch this video here. So what do you think about this? How do you and your other half manage money, and what did you find useful in this video? Perhaps you can even add some of your own tips. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I would really love to hear them, and see you in the next one.